For us, 2022 has been a year of travel and exploration far beyond what we ever expected. We were even able to check a few things off of our bucket list. Ride along with us as we take a look at our last trip around the sun. And you'll want to hang around at the end when we talk about our plans for 2023. Coddiwomple Overland is proudly powered by Cummins Off-road, where you can completely outfit your vehicle and still retain their lifetime powertrain warranty. We are also brought to you in part by Overland Vehicle Systems, Trail Rated Coffee, Skinny Guy Campers, and more Expo. Also, if you're looking for some of our merch, make sure and check out shop.overlandapparel.com. Our first trip of the year actually started December 30th of 2021, where we made our way up to Pennsylvania to explore the Mid-Atlantic Backcountry Discovery Route. This was the maiden voyage for the new Gladiator. We really had no idea what to expect from Pennsylvania, but I gotta tell you, we were very pleasantly surprised. As we made our way south through the central part of PA along the Bdr, we were greeted with multiple state forests and state parks. We really had no idea that Pennsylvania had this much public land. In this area we did hit some blacktop, but most of it was Forest Service roads or some dirt roads even. As you made your way further south into Pennsylvania, you found yourself in more farming area and Amish country. We have made it to Maryland, and upon leaving Maryland and crossing into West Virginia, we went across the only private-owned toll bridge in the state of Maryland. As we traveled further along the West Virginia and Virginia border in the Monongahela National Forest, we went through the Seneca Rocks recreational area and visited places like Smoke Hole and Eagle Rocks. Not too much farther, we made it into Virginia, into the George Washington National Forest, and that's where we were met with snow. We had an awesome night camping there, and we had actually set our own personal record of the coldest night so far. When we woke up that morning, it was 11 degrees. As cold as it was, we stayed nice and warm in the tent, and the views when we started to leave made it absolutely all worth the cold. The next day, we continued our snowy trek southwest through the George Washington National Forest. You definitely had to pay attention to the snow and ice-covered trails, but it was definitely an event that we won't soon forget. By the time we had made it to Damascus, Virginia, we had completed all of the 1,080 miles of the Mid-Atlantic Bdr. For our next adventure, we would jump on another 1,000-mile adventure route, and this one will be in South Carolina. The South Carolina Adventure Route. Also known as the SCAR, it takes you a complete loop around the state of South Carolina. You're going to see everything from the mountains of the west to the pine trees, sand, and marsh areas of the far east down next to the coast. This route didn't offer near as much off-road experience as the Mid-Atlantic did, as it's about 60% paved. Our first event of the year was the Moore Expo. When we got to the Moore Expo, we really didn't know what to expect, but we had a great time visiting with old friends, making new ones, and just getting to hang out with a lot of you guys. If you're into overlanding or just getting into overlanding, this is the must-do event of the year. Not only do you get to hang out with great people, you get to put your hands on, touch, and feel pretty much any kind of overlanding gear that you can ever imagine. After the Moore event, we couldn't just come on back home. I mean, we were in Missouri and we had to hit something out there, so we spent a couple extra days and went to the Mark Twain National Forest. The Mark Twain was probably one of the wettest trips that we had had all year, but we still really enjoyed it and we didn't let the rain dampen our spirits any. We really liked our time around the Pioneer Forest, all of the water crossings and the county roads there, and it's definitely a place that we're going to get back. Our second event of the year was the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway Spring Ride presented by Dan Cummins. This ride helps promote and support the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway. This happens to be in our backyard, and it's a place that we frequent a lot and like to support. While we were there, we done a little trail ride with some of the leaders of the Back to Byway. This would end up being the tightest and slickest trail that we would do all year. What was supposed to be a 3-hour trip turned into almost a 10-hour day. In 2021, we did a 3-week trip out west. In 2022, we decided to do the same thing, but just a little bit different twist. This year we would start our trip out going a little more southwest. We would make our way through Oklahoma, through the panhandle of Texas, and we would camp our first night in New Mexico. We ended up spending a couple nights around the lava fields of the El Malpais National Monument. This black rock landscape was unlike anything that any of us had ever seen before. We all felt like it was worth spending a couple extra days here just checking things out. After we left New Mexico, it was on to one of our bucket list locations. We were on our way to Arizona to camp on the edge of the Grand Canyon. As we stopped at the scenic site of the Navajo Bridge, we were treated to the rare sighting of several California condors. That night, we would set up on the edge of the Grand Canyon. And the next morning, we would wake up looking at our tent to one of the most incredible sunrises that we had ever seen. After leaving that magnificent campsite, we spent the rest of the day on the north rim of the Grand Canyon National Park.
It's just the way the sun's hitting it. Foggy.
This was definitely one of those places that Deb and I had never seen but always wanted to, and it's definitely a place that we'll go back to see again. The next incredible spot we would find will be just south of the Utah border, and this would be the area known as White Pocket. White Pocket was a favorite place of both mine and Deb's, and we've talked about it before, but we could have spent a couple of days there. With the incredible sunset and the amazing colors from the rock, it looked like we were walking through a painting. If you're going to this part of the country, this is definitely one of the places that you will absolutely want to go. But make sure you have a 4-wheel drive to get there. As we made it into southern Utah, we explored places like Cottonwood Canyon and Tippett Canyon before making our way to Lake Powell and taking a swim for the afternoon. This is one of the most beautiful lakes that I've ever seen. It's a real shame that it keeps shrinking day after day. After taking a much needed and wanted dip in the Lake Powell, it was time to get a better vantage point of it. We made our way then up to Ostrom Point. We continued meandering our way north through Utah, finding places like Hell's Backbone and the Burr Trail. One of the coolest places that we found along Burr Trail was the Singing Canyon. The slot canyons like the Singing Canyon was another first for us, and this one was absolutely incredible. Before we made our way into the San Rafael Swell, we stopped to check out some of the sights of the Capitol Reef National Park. Over the course of the next few days, we would spend a whole lot of time exploring all around the San Rafael Swell. Some of the highlights of this area were Eagle Canyon, Red Canyon, Temple Mountain. Next, we were off to the area of Moab, where we would explore Polar Mesa and view the incredible sand caves.
You guys up there, just so you can see the side.
And it ended up getting dark on us that night. It was a little rough getting out of there, but we made the adventure work. By this point, we had made it as far north as we were going to make it. It was time to turn our direction east and head towards Colorado. As we made our way out of Moab, we found some lesser known trails along the Dolores River. This actually was some of the most technical trails that we had done for the trip and was also some of the most enjoyable. Our next major stop was the Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park. This gem we didn't know a whole lot about. We had seen some pictures. We had no idea what we were about to put our eyes on. The Black Canyon actually gets its name because of some parts of the canyon only see about 33 minutes of daylight. The water drops here at 34 feet per mile, and that makes it the 5th steepest descent of water anywhere in North America. We found ourselves northeast of Gunnison, and we were looking to find one of the passes that we were able to cross, but all of them were still under snow except for the Cottonwood Pass. This was certainly not our first choice, as it is blacktop all the way across, but a good treat for us was being able to see the snow at the top in the middle of June. The day that we're going to start making our trek back east, we stopped in Denver and had breakfast with our good friend Chris from Trail Ready Coffee. In July, we picked up our new adventure buddy, and this is Aspen. By the end of August, it was time to make our way to the Smoky Mountains. Our Gladiator was set up in a booth with Dan Cummins Off-road in the Great Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion. We had a great time there getting to meet so many Jeepers and Overlanders, people that watched our channel. We really appreciated all of them coming up and saying hi and spending a little bit of time with us. For the month of September, it was time for another bucket list trip. We were heading to the New England states. While it wasn't exactly off-roading, one of the places we really wanted to hit was the New England coast along Maine and Acadia National Park.
There's a seal down there. Come here, Aspen.
There's a seal out there.
Here, down.
The campsite that we stayed at just north of Bar Harbor won the award for the most unique campsite of the whole year. It was a little area known as Rocktown. Now, I'm not sure who created these rock formations or why, but I can tell you it was definitely a campsite that stood out to all of us. We spent part of another day exploring Acadia National Park before we headed north and putting our sights on the North Maine woods. As we made it near the Canadian border, we found a very picturesque campsite along the Allagash River. Maybe there's no mistaking what those are.
Little bear?
Little baby bear prints. This is definitely one of those campsites that I thought northern Maine should look like. We explored a couple of 100 miles of the North Main woods before eventually heading back south and making our way towards the New England backcountry discovery route. The New England Bdr is a 1,400-mile BDR that runs from the Canadian border in Maine all the way down to Pennsylvania. We crossed over from Maine to New Hampshire while meandering our way through the White Mountain National Forest. One of the things that we found really unique in this area was the amount of self-serve fruit stands and ice cream shops. You literally just walk in, pick up what you want, and leave your money in a little box, and it's all done on the honor system. I think it's pretty cool. Next, we were on to Vermont, where we will make our way into the Green Mountain National Forest. Vermont was most definitely the place that we found most trails or unimproved roads of any place that we have been so far along this trip. So far we have passed through several covered bridges, but this was the first floating bridge that we have been across. This is where we found another incredible campsite right up on top of a mountain. We didn't get to finish the NEBDR, but we definitely have plans to get back there soon to finish it up. On the way home, we decided to stop and check out one more national landmark, the Niagara Falls. In October, we went to Overland Expo East, and we'd hang out with the guys from Skinny Guy Camper for the weekend. Later in October, we went to a brand new event in the Red River Gorge, Overland the Red. This event was held at Callie's campground, and it gave us a chance to hang out with some really good friends. We also got the opportunity to go for a couple trail rides, and Deb even got to go kayak underground. In November, we explored one of the first places that we had a chance to go check out when we started the channel, the Smoky Mountain 1000. The Smoky Mountain 1000 is a loop that follows Forest Service roads and backcountry roads around 1,000 miles of southern Appalachia. While there's not anything difficult at all on this route, what it does have is some of the most beautiful scenery that you'll find anywhere. In addition to the great scenery, this route has the highest population of dispersed campsites of anywhere that we've found on the eastern United States because it goes through several national forests. An incredible year 2022 has been. We've been to some wonderful places and we have got to hang out with some amazing people. Now 2023 is going to be just as good, or it could be even better. Some of the places that we're going to go to is places that we've always wanted to go to but just never had the opportunity. So in the first part of 2023, we're going to be heading down to the southeast. We're going to be spending some time on the Florida Adventure Trail, maybe the Georgia Adventure Trail, and also we're going to be going down to the Southeast Overland Expo with Skinny Guy Campers. Then after that, of course, we're going to be at the Moore Expo in April, and we're going to be doing the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway Spring Ride in May. When June, the end of June comes around, and July, we're going to be making our big 3-week trip out west. This year we're going to go to Wyoming. We're really looking forward to hanging out there, spending some time in the Grand Tetons, Yellowstone, and the Bighorn Mountains as well. Now, come August, we'll also be going to the Great Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion. That's an event that we love to go to every year and hang out with Dan Cummins. Speaking of August and Dan Cummins, we're probably going to be doing the Toledo Jeep Fest as well. Now September, this is the big one. We're going to be going to Alaska. We're going to be doing the Alaska Overlander rental. We're going to go up and spend about 8 days in Alaska. Now for October, we're going to be going back up northeast and try to finish up the Northeast Bdr. That only leaves a couple of months that we don't have anything going for the rest of 2023, but I'm sure that those dates will fill up as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed 2022 as much as we have. And I hope you're also looking forward to 2023. Let us know in the comments below what your plans are for 2023. We'd sure love to hear from you. Until next time, see ya.